Welcome to TIDES, where we explore groundbreaking innovations that are shaping the future of enterprise strategies. Today, we are diving into a transformative topic of skills and how AI is transforming learning and development strategies. Our guest today is the exceptional Liat Brudnoy, a seasoned learning and development executive with over 2 decades of experience in corporate learning. Currently the consulting services learning leader at Ernst & Young, Liat is renowned for her ability to bridge business objectives with innovative learning solutions, leveraging cutting-edge technologies like AI to create impactful and data-driven training strategies. Her career is marked by driving employee performance, fostering organizational transformation, and nurturing talent in organizations like Deloitte and CPA Ontario. Liat's expertise and passion for continuous learning make her a perfect guide as we discuss the future of workforce development in an AI-driven world. Liat, we are thrilled to have you with us today. Welcome to TIDES.
Thanks so much, Shveta, and it's lovely to be here with you. Thank you for the lovely intro.
Oh, I'm so excited for this conversation. And before we dive into the skills landscape and what's happening around us today with respect to AI, I'm just curious. You have over 2 decades of experience in the learning and development space, and you've seen how rapidly the landscape has evolved. What originally drew you to this field? And how is your passion for transforming workforce skills continued to evolve, especially with the rise of AI?
So I would say that my biggest area of passion is connecting people with learning and development opportunities that kindle their curiosity and really cater to their unique needs. At EY, each person develops a purpose statement when we join the firm, and that is wholeheartedly mine. I've always been passionate about lifelong learning. I've always been passionate about helping people to really blossom in their areas of expertise. And what's really enticed me to stay in the field is just the opportunity to be able to peek in on different industries and sectors, to work with organizations and clients in so many disparate fields. And it's been just a momentous learning journey for me across the years as well, working with different types of professionals, different types of organizations.
Mm-hmm. Do you see AI as a catalyst in the learning and development space? Like, how are you sensing the impact of AI in learning and development broadly?
So based on what I'm seeing around me in my day-to-day, I know that we are very fond of using words like force for transformation, change agent, disruptor. Mm-hmm. For me, in my lived experience, it's very much been a game enhancer, not necessarily a game changer just yet. We are constantly using more and more sophisticated LLMs in our day-to-day work. We're seeing the power of predictive analytics. We're seeing essentially the increasingly more personalized learning journeys that we're able to build and increasingly more sophisticated and rapid content development. And so all of these things just fill me with energy, and really I'm excited about the promises that AI has. But at the same time, I'm also constantly mindful of keeping the human at center and really not losing touch with very much the human needs that we all have in being able to thrive in a tech mitigated environment.
Absolutely. And this brings us to this conversation that you and I have had a couple of years ago as well around personalization. I think now with technology at our disposal, do you see, since you talk about human-centric approaches, do you see the time is right and the learning and development field has been unshackled with the advancements in technology to help us get to that stage of personalized skill development?
Yeah, I do feel that the platforms that we have access to, the power that AI brings, is making us increasingly more adept at catering various types of learning solutions to our audiences in increasingly more meaningful ways. And it's really enabling us to plug in with organizational strategy overall in ways that maybe we haven't been quite as adept at as learning and development professionals in the past. Really being able to show how the skills we're building are impacting the organization in positive ways.
How I'm just curious for your perspective on skills. Like how is the organization viewing skills for the future of work, in the sense that I know many of our talent practices have been not built on skills as a building block. Do you see, and are you noticing the demand for more skills-based talent development approaches, in the sense that all our the way we measure our talent, the way we move our talent, the way we do our succession planning, all of that is changing? And what's the role of looking at skills as a building block in that ecosystem?
Well, so skills, I think, are becoming increasingly important for organizations across industries. And at EY, we have this phenomenal platform called Skills Foundry, which essentially consists of three parts. It is very adept at mapping and sort of analyzing, providing analytics on the skills gaps that we have across our workforce. It enables us to then essentially curate, analyze, and really be able to meaningfully serve up internal content, as well as content from vendors, like acquired learning libraries. It doesn't necessarily draw a distinction, but we're able to essentially map the specific learning opportunities that we have against the skills benchmarks that we've seen in terms of gaps, as well as comparisons with industry standards. And then the third part, which is particularly exciting, is a skills marketplace, where we're actually able to use AI to very effectively map the skills that we have internally in terms of our people, and with specific projects and opportunities that we have available within the firm. And so this is a solution that's taking shape and kind of taking hold right now internally with the firm. And it's one that we're already using with clients in very exciting ways.
Oh, that does sound so exciting. I mean, in a way, it kind of helps you map the right talent to the right client needs, versus just looking at talent from a job description or where they sit in the org chart perspective. I'm curious to know, Liat, is this platform being built internally at EY, or is it like a combo of build and buy? What's the approach, if you're okay to share?
Yeah, it is a proprietary EY platform. We have a lot of phenomenal learning experts that work with the organization in our people consulting practice and beyond. And so there are a lot of very interesting tools and platforms that EY continues to serve up to the market.
That's fantastic. And I asked this question specifically because now with AI at our disposal, there was this organization I was talking to a few weeks ago, and they used AI very creatively to build an internal talent marketplace as well, where they used AI to kind of parse the skills from a resume and created job descriptions based on the job title. And then there was matching happening, and everything was done using AI. What would have taken us learning folks to draw competency maps and capability paths months, if not years, now can happen so quickly with AI in the mix. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the more we automate and the more of these sort of very, to your point, involved in lengthy tasks that we're able to not necessarily take the human out of the equation for, but at least fast track the process, then the more we're really able to do that more creative and strategic work that really gives us fuel as learning and development professionals.
I'm also curious to know how, from your perspective, the design and development of learning programs have changed because of the demand now more on skill-based movement and development of talent, versus like traditionally we used to have long drawn programs that employees would go through. Are you sensing a shift towards a little bit of a different approach?
I wouldn't necessarily call it like a major shift towards a skills-based approach that I'm seeing in my circles right now. what I am seeing is increasing efficiency in the way we serve up learning to broad gamuts of professionals that have very different and unique needs when it comes to specific subject matter. So even if we take a broad topic like AI, for example, we very quickly move past the days of baseline training and here's what like an LLM is and here's how to use it. And we're really now looking at how do we train a workforce where one person maybe needs to become more sophisticated when it comes to prompt engineering so that they can use our internally built LLMs more efficiently, while somebody else might be working on a large-scale implementation of, like an HR platform like SAP with a client and needs to understand the latest in SAP AI-driven enhancements in the platform. And so, things that like the classic approaches to learning, like persona-based learning paths, like review and kind of prioritization of industry standardized certifications, like all of those things are still there. Mm-hmm. What we're able to do now is that we're able to curate a lot more efficiently, and that we're really able to serve up learning for individuals at their point of need a lot more quickly in more sophisticated ways.
Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about serving at the moment of need, have you designed a learning ecosystem with technology? Like, have you changed? I know we used to always depend on learning management systems, and that's where you pull audience into an environment. So when you're serving content at the point of need, has your experience changed for the learners?
I think our philosophy is changing. So, if we take a company like EY, for example, we have about 7,000 professionals in Canada. Mm-hmm. In consulting alone, we're at about 2,500, just under 2,500 people working across sectors and industries. And with that comes also a legacy of technology that essentially has been used to serve up learning to different professionals in different ways. And so I think what we're experiencing is what a lot of organizations out there are experiencing right now, which is a bit of a compartmentalization of systems and the way the systems are talking to each other. And so what I'm particularly excited about is with platforms like Skills Foundry, a lot of that sort of accessibility and unification of learning journeys so that individuals have fewer points of access and fewer clicks. So to get to the opportunities that they need, the opportunities that are going to be meaningful for them. And so right now, I would say that we're at a point of evolution from the more entrenched model, I would say, of LMSs with SharePoint sites on top of them and various kinds of gateways, portals, and hubs where information lives, and more of this sort of unification and single points of access for a lot of the needs that our people have.
And do you see from the perspective of the designers and developers, has their life changed at all as we look at changing the front-end experience from a user consumption of content perspective? Are the instructional designers thinking about creating content differently from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that like the way that we develop content, the way that we curate, the formats that we're using, I think those were the first things to be touched by AI. Mm-hmm. I think, the days of working with a subject matter expert in a way where we come to them as instructional designers with a blank page and sort of anticipate, weeks, if not months of writing and of content to map to specific learning objectives. All of that has just been made so much more efficient and so much faster with LLMs that are able to generate content for us very quickly. And again, it doesn't take the human out of the equation. But what it does is it just makes us a little bit more efficient. It really helps us to shine in our roles in different ways. And we see that with rapid video development now, where we could have entirely virtual avatars that are teaching content. An example like that makes it so much easier for content to be kept up to date as well, where we're no longer having to come back to a person who recorded a video 10 years ago and now looks entirely different to patch up specific areas of an e-learning module. I'm getting very tactical and granular, and I think your question is likely a little bit broader. But I think that instructional designers, developers, everybody is certainly being touched in the way they work with current tools.
Yeah. And I'm okay for us to go deep in the weeds because, to be honest with you, that's where the true use cases of AI will start emerging. And that's what we need to get into. Because conceptually, yes, we all agree that AI is making us more efficient, more productive. But it's really useful for us to have conversations about where in the process, like if we used to follow ADDIE for the longest time. Then we had agile way of looking at how to develop content and get it to a finished product. Where in this ecosystem are we thinking about embedding AI, integrating AI, augmenting different roles? Has the makeup of learning teams shifted and changed because of AI? Or are you seeing a trend that the more we integrate and embed AI into the ecosystem of learning and development, the makeup of the teams might change as well over a period of time?
I think that there's right now, I think, a lot of fear across the learning and development space around how will our roles continue to evolve. And the interesting thing is that, in 20 years of being in the space, I've seen a lot of technology, like the next big thing, sort of come and go. And in that time, I've seen a lot of these sort of negative narratives, I would say, come up around displacement, around, sort of like reskilling in ways that are outside of our comfort levels. And what I'm particularly optimistic about and what I'm particularly energized by is the fact that AI can help make our roles more meaningful. It can make them more meaningful to our clients. It can make them as leaders more meaningful to our teams. It can make them more meaningful to overall organizational strategy. And so right now, when I look around, I don't see us being at the point of huge changes in the way that we work. But I do see that individuals who are becoming more and more adept at using AI and sort of coming up with innovative ideas and use cases, piloting interesting solutions and maybe even changing the narrative a little bit with our clients, they are certainly shining in this space that's still, I think, a little bit gray and very much at the point of evolution.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes I think technology is moving faster than humans can actually adapt and change and integrate technology into their ecosystems, because this time around, I feel it's not just learning how to use. It's unlike any digital transformation, in fact, that we've seen in the past. It's not like teaching somebody click this button and this page will open. It's like completely shifting your mindset towards how you're going to use technology and the tools available to you to do your job differently.
And that's where I think those enabling skills, like the power skills, not just the technology skills, but specifically the behavioral skills around communication, around innovative thinking, complex problem solving, creativity, really coming up with solutions that are outside the box, are becoming more and more useful and more, I think, career shaping for individuals across ranks and levels. The World Economic Forum, I think, for years now has been touting the importance of soft skills to complement the technical skills. And I think that it's certainly becoming ever more important. And we're really, really starting to see it play out now as we navigate change, as we, navigate forces of transformation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you're looking at thinking about the strategic evolution of learning and development at Ernst & Young, or even broadly as a learning leader who's been in this space for 2 decades, what keeps you up at night? What are some of your challenges in this time and age with AI in the mix?
That's an interesting question because I think that there are so many sort of exciting areas in which organizations are growing and changing right now. I think that, at a company like EY, a lot of my clients, so essentially the people that service the firm's clients, are having to help their clients through large-scale transformations right now. And really having to help them continue to keep the human at center across various kinds of projects, industry sectors. And so what I really think about is how do we model sort of the right corporate culture internally in a way that is also going to resonate with the way that we work with our clients.
Yeah. And so this is such a evolving space, and I'm sure clients are also as aware of what's happening in the AI, and their demands and their expectations from their consulting partners are also shifting. How would you suggest a learning and development leader to be thinking about preparing for the future? What would be your advice to those emerging leaders or leaders who are still early on in this journey of preparing for and bracing for the impacts of AI? How should they be thinking about this change?
I think that staying on top of the latest and greatest evolutions in technology, whether AI or various areas of automation or beyond, is important, of course. But at the same time, for individuals that are early in their journey, I would very much say make the investment and spend the time getting to know the business, getting to know sort of the strategic vision of the business, networking, making connections, really leveraging all the power of your network and continuing to hone and build those connections within your business. Understand your clients, understand what's keeping them up at night. Spend time learning and sort of, I would even say like engaging in structural learning around effective question methodologies, around social styles. Really be able to spend time strategically getting to know as much as you can around you about the business.
Those are all such powerful points that you make, Liat, because technology, I feel, would be easy for AI to, anything that's black and white, AI can easily do that part. But the human ingenuity, creativity, the curiosity that we bring to the table is going to help us stay relevant in our future as the work evolves. My another curiosity question that just came and then escaped my mind because you were making such a good point, which I think has come back, is around, as people are learning, as employees are learning these skills or applying the skills in the work context, do you see them leaning on tools like ChatGPT, or most companies now have their proprietary chat experiences built on their sandboxed LLMs, can they use that as a tool for their performance support or augmentation as they are getting more into, let's say, learning about networking, learning about how to build partnerships, how to venture into new territories that they typically didn't have either time or opportunity to get into earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and to your point, I do think that a lot of organizations are investing in proprietary platforms. At EY, we have a platform called EYQ, which is like on a like on a daily basis. I think at this point, being laden with more and more sophisticated capabilities. We kind of started off with being able to ask questions and receive answers. And now it's at the point where we're able to feed decks into it. We're able to feed mass spreadsheets with enormous amounts of data points and have that information be synthesized for us in meaningful ways. It doesn't take hallucinations out of the equation. It doesn't take critical thinking and really being able to analytically assess the content that the system is putting out towards for you. But at the same time, it's definitely again, a game enhancer in the way that we are able to even educate ourselves, to your point, like develop personalized learning for ourselves by prompting the system with the right questions that will really gain us insights that would otherwise take us a much longer time to Google search.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Are there or is there any specific use case that you would like to highlight for our audience that you feel stood out for you in the last 2 years that AI has been in our ecosystem?
So I think sort of EYQ and sort of the ChatGPT style models aside, because I feel like the use cases with those are just like endless in terms of how quickly we're able to get even like use AI, like use those systems as a thought partner to ideate with. Image generation, like if you need banners or exciting marketing materials, you're even able to get just like ideas and that just help accelerate and fast track your thinking. And I would say that at this point, like I have EYQ open on my screen on a daily basis. And anytime I need to write an email, anytime I have to kind of parse through some data, anytime that I have to write even something like a course description, I'm able to just do that so much more quickly and efficiently by plugging a question and getting information within seconds from our platform that I can then spend 5, 10, 15 minutes tweaking instead of spending 2 hours like kind of staring at a blank page and wondering where to start. So I think, there are boundless like use cases like that. But I think if we kind of look at the forces of AI more broadly, then again, the Skills Foundry example comes to mind as just a particularly impactful AI-powered platform that is able to generate just tremendous amounts of change and good in the way that we're thinking about knowledge gaps, in the way that we're thinking about the way we serve up learning and the way that we staff projects and engagements in ways that give our people more opportunities, more of a line of sight into various kinds of career trajectories and career growth, and really introduce all kinds of efficiencies into our systems in various ways.
Mm-hmm. I am really intrigued by the Skills Foundry platform build that your team has ventured on. For our audience, again, who are in this stage of, building an internal talent marketplace and are wondering, should they build or should they buy? Yes, there are tools externally available for people to try. But if some organization is trying to venture or test out or experiment with building something internally, what kind of team makeup should they have? Like what kind of cross-functional skill sets should they bring together to embark on this internal build? Because purely IT won't be able to do this alone.
No, this is definitely, you need the learning expertise. You need various kinds of transformation consultants and strategists. You need people who understand systems and the way the systems talk to each other. HR background is also helpful, understanding organizational behavior, organizational culture, and the way that any kind of large-scale tech implementation impacts individuals. I think all of those facets are particularly important, and so you really need multidisciplinary teams to be wrapping their minds around how to take advantage of these types of systems, whether they're internally built or even if it's something that you're acquiring and looking to play with, and really regardless of the size of the organization, because all of those dimensions exist on any scale.
Absolutely. But the concept of internal talent marketplace, like you said, is such a critical one because that will help us with the mobility of our talent to meet the right needs of a job based on the skills that they have versus, I'm sure many organizations and consulting firms are tremendously, talented folks are part of consulting organizations like many other organizations, but they're so big that sometimes it's hard to kind of find the right talent. Talent discoverability internally has been such a challenge for bigger organizations.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious, based on what you're sensing in your organization and broadly in the industry, how does the integration of AI into learning programs influence organizational culture?
So I think that question is very multifaceted as well. There's a lot of depth to that question, and that's because I feel that organizational culture is made up out of so many different types of elements. So if we kind of use the EY example again, we believe in the human dimension to such an extent that we actually have this very innovative Ripples program where our people are connected with not-for-profits on a regular basis and contribute their time, their expertise, their areas of passion to areas like sustainability, like education. There are various, like a broad gamut of initiatives. And the goal of the program is to impact 10 billion lives by 2030. Last year alone, we had something like 2,000 EY professionals contribute their time to various kinds of initiatives and really try to make a positive impact, a lot of social good that comes out of our Ripples platform. And the reason that I kind of flag this example that isn't necessarily purely a learning and development type of example, even though through collaboration, through teaming, there is a lot of learning that happens like ad hoc as part of these initiatives. But the reason I flag it is because it's a very good example of where we have a few different factors that really impact the success of the program and contribute to its recognition and overall culture at EY. And first and foremost, that's leadership awareness of the program, leadership recognition, and leadership participation in the program and the sharing of their experiences and their stories of both their personal journeys and the impact that they're having with individuals who are on the receiving end of the time and effort that EY professionals are contributing. And so regardless of what aspect of culture we're looking at, I think leadership buy-in, leadership modeling of effective behavior and sort of support are paramount. It also informs the way we invest in various kinds of initiatives, the space that we give our people to actually take sort of corporate time to dedicate, whether it's philanthropy or it's their own learning and development journeys, having safeguarded time and having support for actually spending time learning, I think is absolutely important as well.
Oh, that's fascinating and fantastic to hear. And do you see, if we zoom in just through towards AI for a second, are leaders also replicating the same behavior when it comes to AI integration into the organizational culture? Are they sharing their experiences of how they're using AI?
Absolutely. We have a lot of thought leadership, a lot of very positive success stories with clients that we feature in our town halls, that we feature across our sort of internal communications. there's just like a huge canon of use cases and content that even if you Google, various aspects of AI and EY, that you will be able to come across. And there is, I would say, some success stories with effective modeling of using platforms like EYQ. Certainly buy-in in the necessity of various kinds of certifications and dedicating time to learn.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. I think in today's time and age with AI in the mix, there's so much fear associated with this change and transformation that having leaders showcase how they are adopting new technology and being front and center of it, I think is going to be a very powerful tool, especially for organizations that are sensing resistance in their ecosystem.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I think for today's conversation, we can put a pin here and we'll definitely circle back with you and have another round of discussion around the evolution of learning and development strategies. Before we wrap up, looking ahead, what trends or developments do you foresee at the intersection of AI and L&D?
Yeah, so interestingly, I sort of anticipated this question, and I actually plugged that question into EYQ, my personal assistant. And I was very curious to see what it will come up with to answer the question. And so we got some really interesting goodies, like continued growth in personalized learning experiences, more and more sort of investment and take up of predictive analytics, and really enabling organizations to intervene earlier and earlier at points of need to be able to provide the right kinds of interventions to improve learning retention, to improve various aspects of skill building, automation of administrative tasks. I mean, we're already seeing the applications with scenario-based learning. We're seeing simulations. All of that is becoming easier and easier to build, freeing up instructional design time to do more and more strategic things. And so I think those are just a couple of examples, but we're seeing a lot of really great use cases when it comes to automation. Enhanced content creation, immersive learning environments. So AR, VR now kind of being fueled by AI generated scenarios is a very interesting one. And then collaboration and social learning is one that jumped out at me as well. I think these would be, initially when I typed this question in, I think I got a list of something like 30. So I got it to focus on the top, 5 to 10. And these were some of the interesting points that the system came up with.
Thank you for sharing. And any last piece of advice for people who are new on this journey that you'd like to share?
I would say that very much look at AI as assistive tech. It's there for you to help you shine, to help you become more efficient and better at what you do. And really think about, I would say, using your energy strategically, both when it comes to the amount of learning that you're doing to stay apace of all the evolutions and changes that are happening in the space, but also in the tools that you're leveraging and the way that you're leveraging them to have the most impact to your goals.
Well said. Thank you so much for your time, Liat. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I look forward to having the next one with you.
Thanks so much, Shveta. Always a pleasure. This is lovely.
Okay.